What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now in part 2 of this series, we'll go through some of the up and down roller coaster emotions that Knicks fans have been accustomed to throughout this whole season, with Brunson leaving the game in the first quarter with a sore right foot, and OG Anunoby in the middle of the third leaving the game with a hamstring issue. So Tibbs had to dig deeper into his reserves and pull out all the tricks in his books to keep this Knicks team fairly disciplined on the turnovers to avoid any quick pace or transitional offense. But on the anniversary of Willis coming out the tunnel, Jalen Brunson returned in the second half and put on a spectacular performance, surgically dissecting the Pacers defense, while at the same time his Villanova co-stars were able to execute on a high level from all the attention Jalen Brunson drew from the Pacers defense. But this matchup is truly setting up to be a war of nutrition. But I'm not going to say no more. Let's just get to it.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out.
Right.
So the Knicks started off this game on fire. Everybody making their shots, from Josh Hart, Dante, OG Anunoby was killing. He had 10 points out of the first Knicks 18. The Garden was lit. Everything looked good. But in typical Knick fashion, something had to go wrong. Jalen Brunson, around the 3:45 mark, on a closeout with TJ McConnell, looks like he injured his right foot. And if you look closely, at some point, it looked like he signaled to the bench to come out. But as soon as he exited the game, the Pacers made their comeback. Obi Toppin was scoring in the paint like he was Kevin Garnett. Defensively, our rim protection was a little bit questionable. The Pacers went on a 19-12 run, changing the score from 24-13 Knicks to a tie game at 36 apiece, with the Pacers getting 12 points out of their bench guys once again, led by TJ McConnell. And with Brunson going out, the bench unit was definitely called upon, but did not quite measure up to what the Pacers were doing offensively with their bench unit. But it really wasn't about that. Just defensively, the Knicks were lacking with that secondary unit after Brunson had left, and it carried on into the second quarter. Now, unlike game 1, in game 2, Tyrese Haliburton was a little bit more aggressive. But these playoffs for Tyrese will kind of expose what kind of point guard he really is, which is a pass-first guy. He's not necessarily a volume scorer, but he's definitely showing much more aggression than he did in game 1. Now, plays like this early on is what I mean when I say Tyrese is a pass-first point guard. First of all, Pascal sets the screen, and I'm surprised with their habits early on in the season. They normally did what the Knicks did to the 76ers later on in this series, which is set screens way up high to get their guard going downhill. That's what they did to avoid crowded spaces for Jalen Brunson, which he experienced in game 1 and 2 against the 76ers. But unlike Jalen Brunson, Tyrese loves to pick up his dribble. He's not necessarily a person who has tight handles, but the Indiana Pacers are designed to have a bunch of shooters around him. Nembhard right here, this plays for him. He's going to get a flare screen right here behind Josh Hart from Miles Turner. And it's a perfect play right here to Nembhard, as Miles Turner is even pointing. But he misses the open shot. But this is the flaw with this team, is that things are not necessarily designed for Tyrese to be a volume scorer. He's really a pass-first guy. That's why in the beginning of the season, he was having those games, breaking assist records, just getting 20 assists for like 4 games in a row or whatever it was. But that is his archetype. He is a pass-first guy. And the fundamentals of the Pacers is to surround him with a bunch of shooters. Guys who are not afraid to run in transition and pop a 3, i.e. Obi Toppin. But Tyrese right here, he's not really a face-up player. Hartenstein and Josh Hart gives him a lot of problems. He can't even beat them off the dribble. Hell, he can't even shake off Hartenstein, which is one of the benefits of the Knicks right here, having a big man who has a lot of mobility moving side to side. But Pete TJ McConnell, he's inserted in the lineup real early. 6:20, real early, because Nembhard is already missing his shots, but TJ at the same time is not a 3-point shooter. He's a mid-range guy. So that's why we haven't really seen Tyrese and TJ to close out these games. But we're going to see Tyrese acknowledge TJ and not necessarily still give him the ball. You see, he's wide open right there. He acknowledges him, but he overlooks him. That's not his range. He's not in range yet. And he just settles for the shot against Hart. But once again, he can't shake Hartenstein. So the Knicks having a mobile center is presenting a lot of conundrums for Tyrese. He's not really a face-up guy. He's a guy who gets open through screens and he penetrates, hits you with a couple of floaters from the inside of the paint, and just a threat of him shooting those floaters, he can kick out to guys in the corners. Right here, once again, we're seeing the conundrums. Can't shake off Hartenstein, and now he looks in the direction of McConnell, who's not really a three-point shooter. He's not really a spot-up guy. And Tyrese does not like dribbling in tight spaces, so no reason to really give up his dribble here. 7 seconds left on the clock, but he does not like these tight spaces to dribble in. See, Brunson is real comfortable in here. Brunson doesn't give up his dribble necessarily unless somebody's open. But a lot of the praise Tyrese has gotten early on this season was a little bit prematurely. He's not really a guard who's going to average 28 points per game and 12 assists. It's more like 12 assists and perhaps 22 points a game, or even lower than that. It wouldn't shock me. But him having numbers to be the best guard to start in an all-star game, I don't think so. Now right here, TJ still on the floor with Tyrese, and now he gets to switch. A nice little mismatch. So you got Miles Turner on Brunson and Hartenstein on TJ. But TJ is not going to really pull up over Hartenstein like that. He does not really have that in his arsenal. But right here, the Pacers do take advantage of the mismatch with Brunson. You see this mismatch here. Now Hart has to double, leaving Tyrese open. But for the most part, the pairing of these two on the court, it's not necessarily going to turn out the way we think it is, unless they really execute on a high level off the switches on a play like this, because Tyrese can spot up and shoot. But the same thing can't be said for TJ McConnell from long distance. So again, we're seeing right now the combination of TJ and Tyrese, as Tyrese right here is going to hit TJ with a wide open three. Wide open. He has all the ample time in the world. Perfect screen right here. Kind of walks into that, and it's just not TJ's bag. All right, so once again, the name of the game is to surround Tyrese Haliburton with a bunch of shooters. And we're going to see TJ McConnell right here wide open. Wide open. This is, you couldn't draw it up any better than this. But this is why lineups with him and TJ don't really work out. Now right here, Haliburton makes the Knicks pay for their miscommunication. As we see Hartenstein, he's going to go to Haliburton, but multiple guys are collapsing right now. Naismith is dragging. Nembhard is moving. Everybody is moving off ball. Check out all these crosses right here. Nembhard is making his way to the corner. Naismith just came from up here. Collapsing. Miles Turner's collapsing. You got Ben Shepherd that's been killing the Knicks all throughout the first quarter, trying to make himself available. Multiple things are happening right here. And check out Hartenstein. He's going to show that there's a miscommunication. See? 2-on-1 right here. Haliburton makes him pay. This unit right here had a lot of issues defensively in this quarter. The rim protection was poor, and the recovery on the switches as well as in transition was a little questionable. And the Pacers without Tyrese to begin this quarter was already mounting a comeback on this same unit. Now right here, you figured a lineup with OG, Hartenstein, Dante, and McBride be more on point defensively with their rotations. As we're going to see right here, Miles Turner draws up a flare screen for Tyrese to make his way to getting a three-point shot. And he's going to utilize the attention that he gets off this screen for another pass to Turner. Where's the rotations? As soon as those two made those rotations, that was cue for Dante or McBride to step up. Let's take a look at that again. Look at Turner sets the flare screen. Okay, Josh Hart goes over the screen. Now Hartenstein is also there. That is a cue right there. Ooh. That's kind of a nice little no-look pass by Tyrese, but that was cute for somebody to step up right there. And just a little bit too late by McBride. But again, the rotations along with the rim protection was a little bit shaky with this lineup. And once again, even with Tyrese out in the beginning of the quarter, that's really where the Pacers kind of started mounting up an actual lead. So Knicks right here in transition, and this is Tyrese's bag. He has the open shooter in the corner. He's going to wait it out. Notice how he looks in the direction of Miles Turner. This is really Tyrese's bag. It's not about him scoring a bunch of points. This is where he really gets it off. So he knows he's not going to give it to Turner. He's going to give it right here. He knows it already. He's just weighing it out. Completely catches the Knicks defense lacking. That's why the Pacers need to put guys who could finish around Tyrese. If he got him, he could average 20 assists if he wanted to every night. But this right here is the A1 skill of Haliburton, not necessarily him scoring off the dribble. Once again, we're seeing the off-ball movement surrounded around Tyrese. Pascal tries to go for a screen here. Naismith does a little cross action right here in between that screen. And he's going to be the one wide open. So once again, right here, we're going to see the miscommunication on the switches. Tyrese is just eating off of that. Most of his 22 first half points did not come off of him creating off the dribble or just any type of face-up game. And just one more example, right before the half, we see Tyrese actually run back to the ball. So this screen right here by Pascal is going to be an instant kind of ghost screen. See, so he rolls instantly. So now it's a 2 versus 1 on Burks. And this is how they're going to get the open shot. See, Pascal still rolling. Burks has to stunt in. And now Nembhard is the open shooter. So in that second quarter, the Pacers took their foot off the gas as Rick Carlisle, not really being that aggressive, had Tyrese Haliburton subbed out for the first 4 minutes of the quarter. And that's really where the Pacers could have did a lot of damage, even though Brunson was not yet ruled out. But the Knicks on the other end, defensively, were kind of lacking as their rim protection was quite poor and their transitional defense as the Pacers took advantage. TJ McConnell getting 6 assists. And the Pacers, within the time frame of Tyrese sitting out, scored 18 points or 70% shooting, while the Knicks were only able to score 12 points on 33% shooting. But OG Anunoby led the charge with 10 points in that quarter and continued to stay real aggressive as he did in the start of the game. And by the time Tyrese Haliburton checked back in, the Pacers were up 6. Now Jalen Brunson made his return in the third quarter, and ironically in Knicks fashion, it fell on the anniversary of Willis Reed coming out that tunnel. And just like in the first quarter, Jalen Brunson got right back to it, getting anywhere he wanted to in the paint, almost like a dominant power forward. Now off this pick and roll right here, we're going to see Miles Turner play drop back coverage, while Tyrese Haliburton, he kind of stunts in a little bit around the high post. And Brunson, once again, him getting anywhere he wants in the paint. Look how he gathers the ball. It's almost like a shot right here. But in reality, it's really to create for Dante, as he got other guys going all night, and Dante was hot from the field in this third quarter. So right here, even on a sore right foot, Nembhard was no match for Jalen Brunson. He got anywhere he wanted to in the paint, almost like a dominant power forward, to the lengths of guys like Kevin Garnett, Chris Webber, Anthony Davis. I mean, it was on that type of level on a sore right foot. But right here, Jalen Brunson kind of rejects the screen. Tyrese Haliburton, once again, is always going to stunt. They got to send a double team at some point. And look at Brunson. No rim protection by the Pacers. They really have poor rim protection. One of the bottom teams in the league throughout the season on that. And just look at this finish. Brunson right here maneuvering through the many looks the Pacers are giving him. Right here, we see Obi kind of stunt in a little bit, but not make that full commitment. See, Obi backing up, and Brunson right now has Nembhard right where he wants him, right in his spot. Kind of gives up his dribble. Once again, right here, pay attention to Hartenstein as he's going to throw multiple screens. This is the beauty of just him getting right behind the defender. He could be right in sync with Brunson as he's going to then adjust the screen to whatever side benefits Brunson. Like, him and Brunson is really in sync. It's really underrated right here. Look how many times Hartenstein turns, but right there, it's just one time. Miles Turner sort of with a little hedge right here. It's not as hard. And this is another credit from Brunson. Not only he's scoring at a high level on multiple areas of the court, but he's also doing this with minimal turnovers. And in a way, you could say the same thing about the Pacers. This is a low turnover team. Right here, he tries to thread the needle, and Haliburton gets the turnover. But as you can see, they're giving Brunson multiple looks. They either give him a soft hedge, or depending on the defender, sometimes they might go even harder. But at the end of the day, Nembhard, he cannot defend Brunson. Brunson's just getting anywhere in the paint and just scoring at a high level. But we got to give credit to Hartenstein. As New Yorkers, we love the little things, the little hustle plays, and Hartenstein is really in sync with Brunson on these screens. Really an underrated thing throughout this series. It could really go by unappreciated, but we got to give that man his flowers, because right now him and Brunson, it's undeniable. It's almost like watching Draymond and Steph in a way, or Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in Miami. So again, the Pacers giving Brunson a lot of different looks. Look at Tyrese Haliburton. He does not want to get caught in the switch. The guy holds on to Brunson's shirt. But a nice little reset right here. As Haliburton does not want to smoke, he's going to call for the double team with TJ McConnell, the savvy vet. And they're going to blitz Brunson, but they're going to end up paying for this. And this is where Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo comes in. On these Brunson blitzes so far in this series, the Pacers have been paying for it. Now with the Pacers struggling defensively, now they got TJ McConnell on Brunson. Remember how I said Hartenstein being in sync with Brunson? As we're going to see right here, going to hit him with the backdoor. And Brunson still finishes in the paint over all these guys. Shepard, McConnell, Obi, Naismith, Nembhard. None of them could really protect the rim. Brunson really out here scoring in the paint like Amari Stoudemire. It seems like the 76ers series kind of gave the Knicks the proper callus to capitalize at a high level, because they're no longer dealing with a big man that's just kind of blocking the rim in Embiid. So Jalen Brunson played the whole second half, even on a sore foot. And this is where Rick Carlisle could do all the bitching that he wants. But when you continue to sub out Tyrese Haliburton for a 5-minute stretch between the end of the third quarter all the way into the beginning of the fourth, you cannot complain. But fortunately for the Pacers, they maintained themselves in that time frame, scoring 14 points on 50% shooting, led by TJ McConnell, that annoying savvy vet. I mean, the last series we had to deal with Nick Batum with this shit. Now TJ McConnell, it just never goes away. But for the Knicks, they struggled to score offensively. Jalen Brunson holding it down with 8 points. They shot 33% within that time frame of Tyrese sitting on that bench, and they only scored 11 points. But good thing for the Knicks, they stayed disciplined with 0 turnovers, not allowing the Pacers to quickly in transition put up some points. As you know, they love to run. So now taking a look at some of the second half defense on the Pacers. With Tyrese Haliburton, we're going to see some of his characteristics here. In the playoffs, as these games in the second half get tighter, pressure begins to mount and players begin to display their real characteristics. As I stated before, Tyrese, his normal habits is to be a playmaker, is to be a passer, a guy to get guys open. As right here, he passes up an open shot one time. And again, you see he had a driving lane. He could have put the ball low to the ground, use those long strides, and possibly find Obi on the weak side corner. But instead, once again, he was open there for a split second, but I don't blame him. But this is his real habit, is getting guys open. Now right here in transition, this is just a quick FYI. Check out Tyrese right here in the transition, just his positioning. Because I just want to add on to the fact that this is why the Pacers are not really going to win this series with Tyrese being their main guy. Just him being their primary scorer, but in reality, he's a setup man. And you add on the fact that he has poor positioning defensively. And at times, he does not even display the effort to even want to defend. But check out right here. This is just poor positioning, poor awareness. But for the Pacers, they're going to have to find another co-star to put along with them. And if they're smart, they're going to have to find a 1A to put above him. Because just being poor defensively, while at this very moment being a passive scorer, which your team really needs you to be that guy, it's not really going to work. Now right here, I love this from Dante. The physicality as he tries to hedge right here. Tries to get in front of Tyrese. And it's just bothers him, man. I'm telling you, the physicality of the playoffs, it's definitely a different animal. But Dante's done a great job on Tyrese. Dante and Josh Hart. But particularly Dante. Now this right here got to be a rare sighting. Haliburton actually beats Hartenstein off the dribble and finds the open shooter, TJ McConnell. And remember how I said in the first half, he is not a three-point shooter at all. As once again, he's going to pass up another open three. Because that's not really his bag. And again, that's why it's a limiting thing to have Haliburton and TJ on the floor at the same time, particularly at the end of the fourth. Both of them like to handle the ball. And I'm not sure if the Pacers really want TJ McConnell being the one to facilitate the offense at the end of these games. But it seems like the Pacers rather have the ball in Tyrese's hands at the end of these games and create offense off of the attention that he gets. That seems to be the more comfortable route for them. Because TJ is not going to draw no double team and he's not going to blow by anybody. So right here, Josh Hart tries to get in front of the screen, trying to guess which way it's going to come from. Tyrese sticks with it. Now one-on-one with Hartenstein. Let's see if he can shake him off. And check out the finishing ability. Once again, gives up his dribble. It's kind of early to give up the dribble. Brunson does not even stunt in for him to give up that dribble, but he still does. It's a natural motion for him to do that, but Tyrese is not going to finish through the contact. Tries to put up a floater. Once again, him being a star, notice how he doesn't try to jump into any type of contact. He sort of chucks this up as he's jumping away. He's kind of leaning towards this direction when he kind of jumps, see? He's leaning away from the contact. The league in a way is in a weird spot. They're promoting a lot of guys that are not necessarily having any on-court impact. And so far, this year's playoffs has exposed a lot of that. So far in this series, you know, the defense of Dante DiVincenzo on Tyrese Haliburton, just harassing him. It's been A1, really underrated thing. So as the Knicks fight through their switches, this is one of the rare few times we've seen Tyrese actually get to his spot. This shot right here is Tyrese's bread and butter right here. This floater anywhere around these areas. But it's been rare to see him get to this bag. So with OG exiting the game and Precious in the lineup, we're going to see a mistake that a lot of young teams make, and this might be Tyrese's fault. He should have waved off this screen. You got Precious following behind Pascal. Of course, you got this open space right here for him to operate in. But check it out. There's no advantage to this screen. There is no advantage. We all know Pascal is not necessarily going to be making a play from out here. And in reality, when Pascal was making his way up, Haliburton should have called him off. And then called for Naismith. See, right there, he got Brunson right on him. That's who he should have called up for the screen. See, no advantage. But again, this is a guard that's kind of going through his progressions, and he's going to learn. He's going to learn from these things. But there is no advantage to that screen that was just ran. You got Hartenstein right there. In case he tries to post up Dante, there's no real advantage there. And this is a scenario we've seen Jalen Brunson master in the last series going up against the 76ers. He would wave off Hartenstein and then ask for a pick for whoever Tobias Harris was guarding or whoever Tyrese Maxey was guarding. Brunson throughout that series was constantly doing that, just telling Hartenstein to go back, no you. He was hunting for his mismatches or his favorable matchups because the length of Nick Batum and Kelly Oubre was bothering him all series long, and his favorite matchups was definitely Tobias Harris and of course the smaller Tyrese Maxey. So in the fourth quarter, Brunson continues to get different looks as Obi right here hedges, prevents him from making that turn. And right now, as you can see, Pascal Siakam helps out, making sure that Brunson does not have that attacking lane to close off. But Brunson still kind of gets off in the paint still. The Pacers, once again, is not a good rim protecting team. So the Pacers still not having an answer for Jalen Brunson in the perimeter. Now they're sticking their savvy vet, TJ McConnell, on Brunson. And watch right here how Brunson has a number of attacks. He nudges McConnell right off of him, and just him backpedaling like that, he's going to now use that momentum against him by just attacking. You see his momentum is going forward. Brunson really processes the game at a fast speed, man. He knows when he has the advantage. Now he has him on the back heel. And once again, the rim protection by the Pacers is almost non-existent. I mean, Brunson is not a dominant power forward. I mean, once again, look where he's at. He's in the paint. And he's just getting these shots off, finishing at a high clip. So as Jalen Brunson right here continues to just dump the whole arsenal, just counters and all kinds of attacks on this Pacers defense. As we see Hartenstein right here with a ghost screen. So he rolls. And part of Brunson cooking like this is really the execution of guys like Josh Hart and Donte DiVincenzo. Now Brunson gets a one-on-one mismatch right here with the young player in Shepherd. And with McConnell stunting in a little bit, Josh Hart right here is left for open shot, and it's all up to him to execute off of that. A few possessions later, the Pacers have no choice but to go back to Nembhard. They have no choice but to go back to him, knowing that this is a losing situation regardless. And we're going to see right here how Jalen Brunson, real surgical, just gets into the lane regardless, even off the hedge. Turner kind of hedged in a little bit, but he's not fully committed, with him retreating right back to Hartenstein. And Brunson still gets to where he's going. Look at the lack of rim protection. What the fuck? Brunson out here looking like Kevin Garnett, the way he's just killing them in the paint. It's starting to make sense while Miles Turner only had 2 rebounds as a starting center in game 1. Okay, so a few possessions later, we see Brunson on the switch right here. Tyrese should pick up Brunson right away. Nembhard is completely caught right here. Gotta switch. But look at Tyrese slowly get back. Tyrese does not want that smoke. He's like, Brunson, you are not going to embarrass me. And Tyrese right here, he's stunting in quite a bit right here. He's stunting in, but he never fully commits. And this is why I don't understand why the Pacers don't kind of throw random schemes at Brunson at this point. He's just cooking. Now, part of Jalen Brunson cooking is the ability of Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart to execute when they get open. Now, the Pacers have been applying pressure on Brunson since he was bringing the ball up the court. And right here, as we could see, they blitz. So in that blitz now, Hartenstein serving as the cutoff man, and now it's time for these guys to execute. Make them pay for that. I don't know who Nembhard pissed off on his team, but they just keep leaving him on the island. Look at everybody stunting in, but no full commitment. And at this point, it's over. As I'm always stating throughout this series, it's all about the fourth quarter execution. And Jalen Brunson right here does a good job of reading this defense on this hedge right here. Makes that little pass, and it's all about the execution of Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart making plays. Soon we got to start calling Jalen Brunson the new Dirk Nowitzki, Chris Webber, Garnett all rolled into one. The 6-foot guy is actually killing this team solely in the paint. Unbelievable. So right here with the Pacers needing a quick bucket, we're going to see the true characteristics of Tyrese Haliburton come out. Remember, as I stated before, when things get tight in the playoffs, certain stars shrink at the moment and their true nature gets revealed. As Tyrese right here, he loves to jump. He loves to jump and pass. On this initial jump, he's not thinking about shooting it first. He's really thinking about passing it. But no matter how perfect he is when making that jump pass, sometimes you get stuck, as the 2 players beside him were not open and he had to force it up. Let's look at that again. Initially, he didn't have to give up his dribble. Look at that. He still had space to operate in. He didn't have to give it up. But that's the kind of player he is. Once the space gets real tight, 3 Knicks defenders beside him, it's a natural thing for Tyrese just to pick up the ball and jump in the air and try to twist and turn his body to find the open man. And he basically right here gets caught. See? Double clutches. So in this game, with Brunson going down in the first and then OG leaving the game with the hamstring issue, this is definitely going to be a war of nutrition, as the Knicks had Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart play above 40 minutes for a second straight game. And it was good to see Precious getting 28 minutes and not only grabbing 3 offensive boards, but creating a nice defensive floor when it comes to dealing with Tyrese Haliburton in those pick and rolls. Haliburton hasn't shown the consistency of driving past Hartenstein at a decent rate, and the same thing will definitely apply to Precious. But as the Knicks' depth gets thinner and thinner, where guys keep going down with injuries, it's going to be interesting to see how guys get affected by playing all these minutes with this high-paced team, where every single night thus far in the series, both teams are scoring above 110 points. The Pacers bench unit continues to come through, as for a second game in a row, they put up over 46 points. But again, it didn't matter because of the lack of rim protection and the fact that the Knicks throughout the regular season, dealing with all those injuries, already have the calluses to play all those minutes. They sort of closed the gap in that fourth quarter with the offensive rebounding, and then you started to see the Knicks pull away in the scoreline. But the Knicks will continue to need contributions from everybody. Sort of a well-balanced attacking approach. From the 8 assists we've seen from Hartenstein in this game to the 6 3-pointers Dante was able to knock down when the Pacers were blitzing Brunson. Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart's importance in this series, it can't even be measured. The Pacers alone are just struggling with Brunson around the perimeter. Now you add on top of that the other 2 guards making plays off their blitzes. It's not going to fare well for them. And Brunson is just way too smart of a player. The way he's breaking their defense down just on a tactical level, whether it's him getting to his spots, the pull-up threes, the ability to make the simple pass right off of penetration with limited turnovers to avoid any transitional points that the Pacers love to get. This is definitely still shaping up to be a war with OG down. Tom Thibodeau is going to have to do something he's been doing all season, and that's finding the next man up and pivoting to a different scheme. So until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.